Shattered Veil, a map that shattered expectations after release. But it wasn't the only thing that got shattered when this map was released. As I can imagine, there are various safety regulations that also got shattered. And today, that is exactly what we're going to check up on. Welcome to the Safety Check. So here we are on the Shattered Veil. We need to see how safe this place is, and we need to tell the guys if they need to step up their safety program. I'm going to say they are, but let's get into it and have a look. So the first one we want to talk about is equipment, and there is, as you can probably tell, a lot of this just hanging around. I mean, look at all the stuff just laying around on the maps around here. Canisters, crates, you name it, it's probably on this map. And one thing that safety regulations don't abide for is equipment just being stored all around in the open. So for that reason, it is going to get an 80 out of 100. The next one I want to talk about is a classic, and as you can see, it's the tripping hazards. There's plenty of gaps in the floor, wood laying about, cables everywhere. The list just goes on and on. There is so much for you to trip over no matter where you go. I mean, look at this massive electricity cable just hanging around. You're going to trip over that at some point. Someone's cable management is not great. And because of this, it's actually going to get a 60 out of 100. Moving on from that, we have to talk about another classic, which is the Hygiene. Once again, we got plenty of blood around the map. Just everywhere, you know, like in bedrooms, on the walls, on the floors, it is everywhere. And on top of that, I noticed in some places there's actually food left out on the counter. Like the person that was having his lunch here, just left his food on the side. That's going to go moldy soon. And do not get me started on the state of the kitchen. I mean, look at this. I mean, first things first, why are there electronics in the sink? That's not good. But I would not want to be cooking out of this kitchen. And for that reason, it's going to get a 70 out of 100. Now, in the aftermath of this apocalypse, I can imagine there's some broken windows around the place. And I thought, you know what, that's fine. I give it like an 80 or something, because overall, there's not that many. But then I walked down to the good old little greenhouse, or conservatory, or whatever you would call it. This bad boy here, which is completely made out of glass. And it's shattered everywhere, all over the floor. This thing is a nightmare of a place to be. There is way too much glass just everywhere all over the floor, and it could cause an issue. So it is going to get a 70 out of 100. And finally, for the low tier risks, the last one I want to mention is low tier burns. Now, you know which ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about these little ones here that could cause an issue. You know, they're currently not massive flames, but they could be a risk if they get out of control anymore. For that reason, I'm going to give them an 80 out of 100 because they're not quite there yet. On the other hand, I do want to mention the high grade burns that we could get from all of these massive fires, like in this truck, on this building, on this upside down flipped car. That looks like it could explode. Or when you just look at the building, you can see there's a few fires going around upstairs. Those fires are nowhere near as good. So they are going to get a 40 out of 100. Next up on the list, I want to talk about the electricity bill that this place must be running up, because there are so many lights and cables and everything everywhere around this map. And with that being said, chances are there's going to be some electricity issues somewhere. For example, look at this. This is just sparking out in the open, no cover on it or anything. That could really do some damage if you somehow got caught up in it. And it doesn't stop there, because as you can see, there are cables like this one just sparking electricity right above our head. That could be dangerous. Or on the floor here, just sparking up. I mean, look at it. It's literally jumping around like it's got a life of its own. That is not safe at all. And for that reason, it is going to get a 50 out of 100. As I see more and more sparks coming from up here as well. Jesus. Not good at all. Moving on from that, and we're actually going to talk about falling. Now, there's not too many bad spots for this on this map, but there are a couple. For example, when we come into this lovely serpent mound room, you can actually climb up the side here, and then you could jump off. That could hurt you. Luckily, I got stamina up, and it's not going to. Then, when we come into the main room, you can come up to the overlook, and there are gaps in the railings here, which you can fall off, which could also hurt. Again, not terrible, but have to be considered, especially when you can fall off this one as well. But the worst culprit of them all has to go to the lift that is broken. The only way down is to rappel down this one rope. But what if you just accidentally fell down there, or you didn't equip it properly? I think you'd be a goner. And for that reason, it is going to get a 50 out of 100. We now move on to our next one, and we kind of spoke about this already, but I want to talk about vehicles on a map. This one seems to be an ongoing issue lately, but lots of vehicles on fire out here, like these here. That one looks like it's alright at the moment, but I still don't trust it. And then, like I said, the upside down vehicle here. And this one is not looking in good condition. Some of these vehicles aren't looking great. And there's more downstairs as well in the underpass. So yeah, vehicles are going to get a 50 out of 100. Next on the list is actually chemical hazards. And there are a few instances that got me thinking about this. First for these canisters, which don't look too great. They've got warning signs on them. Normally that means it's some sort of explosive, which would indicate it is a chemical. Then we can come down in the conservatory. And when we come down actually into the bottom half of it, you actually notice there's these green vials on the side. I don't know what they are, but the fact that they're in syringes and they're bioluminescent green makes me think that they're not something that's safe. But the icing on the cake, apart from all these canisters here, which probably have gas in them, were the broken pipes that are downstairs. That could be spewing out all types of gases right now that I could be breathing in and could cause me some massive harm. And for that reason, it is going to get a 40 out of 100. The next medium tier risk I want to talk about is going to be the building stability. Now, upstairs, it's not that bad. It's got a few dents and bruises here and there, but overall it's not terrible. Where we start to see issues is actually downstairs. First things first, we saw the state of the lift. I mean, it completely collapsed in on itself. Imagine if you were in there at the top and it went all the way down. You'd be a goner. That's not stable. And then we go into this tunnel in the back here. We go into the service tunnels and the whole roof has collapsed in on itself. That screams a massive risk to me. I mean, look at it. Look at the chaos it's caused. It's really not good down here. So I am going to give it 45 out of 100. And the only reason I'm not giving it lower is because the whole mansion upstairs is actually in fairly good condition. Now we have one more medium tier risk to talk about, and that is the machinery on the map. Now there's not loads of machinery, surprise surprise, but there are a few things to take into consideration, like the forklifts that are laying about. Have these been serviced? Have the keys been taken out? To me, that looks like the handbrake isn't on. I'm just saying, it could be a risk. But because there's only a couple, I am only going to give it a 60 out of 100. But with that being said, now we can move on to the high tier risks. And the first one I want to talk about is being crushed. As I just mentioned, this whole section here has completely collapsed in on itself. As you can see, all the rubble and debris that's landed here. And all I'm saying is, like this guy, there's probably a few others that have been crushed underneath that. I'm going to have a guess and say there's at least a couple bodies under that rubble. And the same with over here as well. There's definitely a few people that have been crushed to death, shall we say. It's something you have to take into consideration. And looking at the stability of the roof, I can't say it's not going to happen again. I should probably get out of here, to be honest. But yeah, it is going to get a 15 out of 100. Now, as I spoke about earlier, I saw some gas canisters laying around a map, which was a chemical hazard in its own. But another thing it could be is an explosive hazard. These things, if I catch them with a stray bullet, could blow up while I'm standing next to them. And the same with the ones upstairs. And if that's to happen, I am a goner. So I am going to give it a 15 out of 100. So we can move on from explosions. And we're actually going to go on to a third high tier risk, which is impaling. As we can see in the spawn room, there's a lot of railings that have very sharp spikes on the top. And that continues around spots like this and other areas outside the front of the mansion, like up here, for example. Over here, there's lots of spikes all around that you can impale yourself on. Now, I wouldn't recommend anyone to go climbing over fences that have got spikes on the top, but someone might do it. So it does have to be considered as a safety risk, and it is going to get a 20 out of 100. Okay, we have one final high tier risk to consider on this map, and it's one you wouldn't probably think of, but it is going to be drowning. Because when we come down to the spawn area, there's some fairly big puddles around. Nothing that should be an issue, but as we said before, it doesn't take a lot of water to drown. For all I know, that's how this guy died. He might have got knocked out unconscious, and then he ended up drowning in that water. It could have happened. You can't tell me it didn't. So whilst it's not as dangerous, it is still a risk, and it is going to get a 30 out of 100. But with that being said and done, we can move on to the miscellaneous tier risks on the map. And the first one is going to be the mushrooms that are around, specifically outside spaces. Now, I don't know if you guys realise, but I've kind of done the Easter egg, so the mushrooms aren't popping up right now. But you guys all know what they look like, and when you do shoot them, they do give off a gas, which you actually choke in if you stand in it. Now the only positive for it is there are only 4 on the map, so it is going to get a 60 out of 100 for that reason, because it's not too potent. Anyway, we can move on to the second miscellaneous tier risk of the map, and it's going to be the Luminal Spaces. Now, you jump through, they look alright, you know? They're nice and clean compared to the rest of the map. There's no issues on them. Nothing damaged, really. But what I'm saying is, we opened them. They weren't open before. What's stopping these portraits from closing again? I think they could potentially close again. What if I end up being the one that is on the ritual parlor next time round someone comes to this map? I think I'm going to get out of here before I get stuck in there forever. I don't trust them. And for that reason, they're getting a 40 out of 100. Okay, we are coming to the end of the risks. We have one more to talk about. And she's actually not here anymore. Yeah, it's Sam. We all know now, and let's be honest, we knew before, that Sam was going to betray us. Her sole intention the whole time was to gain Samantha Maxis's body. And she's been playing us for a fool this whole time. We've also seen her trap both the crew and Richthofen in one of the Luminal Spaces. And if Richthofen didn't have that ancient artifact just hidden away in his pocket, we would have been goners. We would have been there for eternity. And that is not to mention that she can actually shoot a laser from her eye when she is here, killing everything around, which means she could have turned on us and killed us. So yeah, Sam is going to be a risk, and she is going to get a 30 out of 100. Okay, so we've given all the risks on the map, and I think it's only fair we have a look at some of the safety features of the map. And the first one's actually going to be safety signs. Whilst I can't lie, I would like a few more safety signs compared to what the map has. There are a few around which I do have to take into consideration. Like, for example, this toxic sign where we had the good old doppelgasting, also saying no entry, which is nice. And then also when we go into areas like here, some of the canisters I believe have safety features on them. Or maybe they don't. I might be thinking about the safety canisters upstairs. Bear with me. Yep, I knew I saw it somewhere. There are more flammable safety signs on these canisters, which means they are kind of taking safety into consideration. And for that reason, I am going to give it a 2.5. Last but not least, we do have railings as well. Now, they're not all in great shape, but the majority of them are pretty sturdy. They do have gaps here and there. I will not pretend like there isn't. But I think overall they are pretty sturdy, I can't lie. And then like when you come into the conservatory, all the railings are pretty good. So I think they're in pretty good condition and tip-top shape overall. So I am going to give railings as a safety feature as well. And it's going to get a 2.5. Now I was going to also give fire safety as a potential safe feature because I did find a fire extinguisher on the map. But I don't think there's enough. I don't think 1 or 2 are going to be enough to put out fires around this place. So it's just going to be those 2 for this map. But with that said and done, those are all the risks and safety features for the Shattered Veil. Just to recap, we have equipment with a rating of 80, tripping hazards with a rating of 60, hygiene with a rating of 70, shrapnel with a rating of 70, loaded burns with a rating of 80, electrocution with a rating of 50, falling with a rating of 50, high-grade burns with a rating of 40, vehicles with a rating of 50, chemical hazards with a rating of 40, building stability with a rating of 45, machinery with a rating of 60, being crushed with a rating of 15, explosions with a rating of 50, impaling with a rating of 20, drowning with a rating of 30, mushrooms with a rating of 60, luminal spaces with a rating of 40, and Sam herself with a rating of 30. Now, when you do put all of these scores together, you do get a grand total of 46.5, which doesn't look too bad. But then you do have to take into consideration we have over 10 risks, which does give it a -5. And on top of that, we also have over 5 high tier risks, which does give it another -5. But on the plus side, it does get a 2.5 for railings and a 2.5 for warning signs, which does add to the score. So overall, the Shattered Veil does shatter the safety guidelines and ends up with an overall rating of 41.5. Not as bad as some maps we've seen, but still not great. And with that, it does actually end up in the at tier risk. It has got the same score as Terminus, but I'm going to put it just below Terminus because I think Terminus has a few more safety considerations they have to take into account. But with that said and done, that is the end of today's video. Another zombies map, another massive safety issue to the community. But don't worry, safety check will return soon, and we're actually moving back again to Black Ops 3, where the next map we have to rank is Zetsubo no Shima. Now, personally, I think that's not going to be a very safe map. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment below and let me know what score you would give Zetsubo no Shima on safety out of 100. But that is all for today's video. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more if you are interested to see further zombies content. It is all greatly appreciated. But for now, I am going to get out of here before it is too late. So I am signing off for now, and until next time, stay safe.